Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? We're all doing very, very well. Now, it's been a crazy, crazy weekend. We've had Glastonbury for the first time in 2 years. Glastonbury, Paul McCartney, Macca was rocking the house. Now, while that was going on, we had our own little music festival here as well. I don't mean here in the grounds of the Kilt Mansion. No, down the road, we had in a place called the Gorse, we had the Gorse Fest, which itself was making a name for itself, with local and far-flung talent arriving to sing their stuff, ply their trade, craft stalls, market stalls, all sorts of things. Lots of fun for everyone. That, of course, was just getting up and running when the pandemic got in the way. So this was the first one, again, since, like Glastonbury, the first one in 2 years. And it went down a treat. Mrs. Kilt-Man was there. I was meant to be there. I never got there. I got waylaid on the way. I strayed from the path. I went into the local taverns and hostelries and saloons and bars. But I did meet a lot of people who came back from this festival. And a mighty fine time was had. And in fact, it was so good, that's why I didn't do a video yesterday about it, because I was too far gone, really. But anyway, the reason why I'm doing this video now, and you're hearing the last of Mohicans music, Trevor Jones and Randy Edelman composed a fantastic score for Michael Mann's legendary, mythical 1992 action-adventure, The Last of Mohicans, with Daniel Day-Lewis playing Hawkeye, aka Natty Bumpo, aka La Longue Carabine, the long rifle. The frontiersman, scout, hunter, blood brother to the Mohicans, Chingachgook, who will prove to be the last of the Mohicans, and his son Uncas. Russell Means plays Chingachgook, and Eric Schweig plays Uncas. And both those are Native Americans, and they are highly political and very, very active when it comes down to, stating the claims for Native Americans and their plight in the modern world. And the film is monumental. Now, the reason why all this is coming together and tying in is because our good friend up north of the border in Glasgow, Stevie Boy Doherty, he's massively into Native American culture and history as well, same as me. And I often can be seen sporting my Lakota Sioux hawk feathers with the medicine wheel there, as you can see. Well, they've seen better days. Obviously, when they were attached to the hawk itself, they probably enjoyed their life a lot far better. But I wear them quite a lot. And regular viewers know that I'm also massively invested in the US cavalry as well. And I'm normally wearing US cavalry regalia as well. So I'm sitting on the fence, Politics and genocide, I've covered this a million times. I'm concerned and have adoration and, nothing but praise for the grassroots soldiery who are thrust into this kind of conflict and combat and fight for their lives. But I also totally sit on the side of the Native Americans who are fighting for their life and their way of life, and they're fighting a losing battle. But anyway, I have covered all this before, so I sport the bling and razzmatazz of both opposing factions. But Stevie Boy said, I've got some Sioux Eagle feathers. I mean, they're better than your hawk feathers. I'll send them to you. So he did. Here they are. These are whoppers. Look at them. 2 of them. Look at those. You can actually fly with these. If you put them on your ears, you're all right. And it's a slight susurration in the air. In the air, off you go. Aren't they awesome? Look at them. Now, I did go out ostensibly to go to this music fest with these tied in the back of my hair. But I got into local pubs, and of course these became a bit of a talking point. Oh, I see your feathers have grown, Kilt-Man. And they've changed colour as well. So, but it's weird how a lot of people that I didn't normally associate with having any interest in Native American affairs, people seem to know a fair bit about it. And you wonder, there's Stevie Boy up in Glasgow, there's me in Merseyside, and I've been around America a couple of times, and I have spoken and seen Native Americans on reservations, and sadly I'm into the Grand Canyon, and I saw just how far they've fallen. I don't mean into the Grand Canyon, but just in a little, it's their land, it's their sacred land, but they're just reduced to sitting at the entrance to the Grand Canyon and selling knickknacks and merchandise, and it's just so wrong. But anyway, so he sent me these, so I wore these, and people were coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, they're Sioux, aren't they? And I don't know Every tribe wore them. Every tribe. It wasn't particularly unique to just the Sioux. I'm going to hit that screen again. Just get myself back online there. And so they weren't unique to them. It wasn't the province of just the Sioux and the Cheyenne and the Arapaho and all that. Anyway, so I wore those. But people began to come up to me and said, I've just found this feather. Would you like this feather? So, first of all, Frank from round the corner, who was in the cask with me. No, sorry, it was in the Telegraph. And he said, just found this out the back in the beer garden. Stick that in your hair. I just looked at him and went, what's that off? What little scratty avian scally is that off? I just shoved it in the back of my hair. And it survived the night. And I'm not even sure what that is. I know it's a feather, but I'm not sure what bird that came from. I don't know. I'm not no avian expert. But I was also given, by, of all people, Mrs. Kilt-Man. When I come back, she said, I found you a feather. By the way, thanks for turning up at the music fest. Me and my mates were there. We didn't miss you at all, you know. But she found me this. Look at that. Now, I know some of you going, it's a peacock feather. It's not. I think that is actually off a magpie. It's very dark on that side, very dark there. But we've got blue, we've got purple, and we've got green in that. Isn't that gorgeous? Someone out there will know exactly what that is. I'm assuming that's a magpie. I don't know. We have tons and tons of magpies here. So that's what I'm presuming that's off. So my collection of feathers is gathering momentum. Now, also, Stevie Boy sent me this. Now, The Last of the Mohicans, there you can see my novelization film tie-in when Michael Mann's movie came out. There's the original novel by James Fenimore Cooper. Of course, you guys know that Last of the Mohicans is the first, and Hawkeye is the first American hero, and that's the first American action-adventure epic tale. So, you know, it's hugely profound, and it's one of the most exciting stories ever. Michael Mann's version, which he wrote with Christopher Crowe, they did a great thing, because if you read the book, which I have, there's many elements in that book which people always say, oh, the book's better than the film. In this particular case, I'm going to say that as magnificent as that book is, and it truly is, and it spawned 4 other follow-ons, one of which I've got, and I'll show you that. It's an epic, you know, genre, generation-spanning saga, and you know, it tells the history of the French and English colonial wars for North America, then Hawkeye and the different alliances he makes with different tribes, and undergoing different adventures and ordeals, the lives and adventures of these people pioneering across, you know, the fledgling New World, full of blood, snot and violence, of course. But in the books, they talk. Oh, they talk. They talk a lot. They talk from page after page after page. And it's written in oldie worldy language as well. Nothing against that. And it's written also from the Indians' point of view, with their very flowery, can't even say it at all, flowery, descriptive, over verbosity. Instead of just saying like it's windy today, it's like the moccasins on the Mingos are flying from the feet in the heavenly draft of the spirits. They can't just say it's windy. They've got to dress it up in a huge saga in itself. And so they have to cut all that down whilst keeping the essence of who's saying what and what their cultural reference points are. They do a great job. And they capture all the action and the violence and the real terror of being out in the wilderness and fighting such a nightmarish incarnation of pure evil as Magua, played in a film by Wes Studi, who's awesome. He's the stuff of nightmares. Now, in the book, our heroes will encounter Magua many times, and they'll talk to him a fair bit, and they'll take the piss out of him. So in the book, he's actually watered down. Yes, he's pure. He's a vindictive snake in the grass. He's evil, you know, personified. But he's totally diluted by the fact that they make a fool out of him so often, and ridicule him to his face. And they wound him several times, and he keeps getting away. He's not this mythic creature, this almost supernatural force of vengeance that he is in the movie. So that was a great move on Michael Mann's part and Christopher Crowe. But also in the book, Hawkeye and his allies, Uncas and Chingachgook, they have so many meetings and parlays with different factions of the Huron tribe. and the other Delaware tribes. And at one point, our hero Hawkeye dresses up as a bear, and he walks through a Huron camp, and they think it's one of their witch doctors who dresses up as a bear. They assume it's that, but it does make for some very stupid, it's almost farcical, who's wearing the costume at this stage, and they sort of play off each other, and they play tricks on each other, but there's life in the hanging in the balance of these little escapades. And it just seems, bloody hell, you've turned it into a Benny Hill sketch. So naturally, Michael Mann excised all of that sort of excess baggage. But what I was coming on to, Steve also sent me this, and a graphic novel adaptation of Last of the Mohicans, written by, I always forget these names, the great Roy Thomas, who's done so many adaptations, and he's been involved in so many long-standing, comic book heroes and characters. Artists Stephen Kerth and Cam Smith. Now this does follow the original book, so you've got all that interplay in the bear costume and all the other meetings and conversations and hair's breadth escapes, but it is absolutely amazing. I'm going to try and show you some of the ring light's going to play havoc, but look at all this. There's Miss Cora Monroe, Madeline Stowe. The book does differ slightly from the movie in that Major Hayward, Duncan Hayward, played by Stephen Waddington in the movie, he's not trying to marry Cora, he's trying to marry Alice, the younger sister of the fabled Colonel Monroe, who Magua has a real blood vengeance feud with, and he wants to kill and smite the daughters of wipe the seed of Monroe from the earth, and then tear his beating heart out from his body. Well, in the book it's slightly different. He's quite prepared to just take one of the daughters and marry her off in his wigwam off in the frontier, knowing that'll hurt Monroe even more. But so you've got lots of little skirmishes, lots of little battles taking place. There's lots of people tied to stakes and then being tortured, well, sort of tortured, threatened with torture. There's Magua, depicted in this. Just, kill them! We are 6 to their 3. And that's when obviously our boys are going to leap in there and save the day for the umpteenth time. That sounds like an Indian name, doesn't it? Umpteenth time. So it is Magua squaring off against Hayward there. Got his tomahawk. And it's there's Hawkeye dressed as a bear attacking Magua. But Magua knows it's someone in a costume. He doesn't think it's a bear, even though it looks, in the illustrations, completely like a real bear. But it is wonderful. And there's a lot of testing. Are you really the Long Carabine? Are you really the Great Serpent? Are you really the Swift Deer? Which is the names for the other, for Uncas and Chingachgook. And they've got to prove who they are and all this, like with little target practice sessions. And all these things are nice little incidents, but they still have slowed down the narrative. So in the movie, which is relentless, and the production values are so gorgeous, the landscape, oh my God, and of course the music. Daniel Day-Lewis and Michael Mann went off into the wilderness for 3 months before the filming began to live off the land, to learn how to use old muskets and rifles, and create traps and use stealth and camouflage, and bivouac out there using old school materials, and just to get into character. Well, that's Daniel Day-Lewis for you. But it paid off because the film is just genius. Now, what was I going to say? You've got the big massacre as well. The book, this version does sort of play down the violence. There's blood, and you've got scenes which didn't make it into the movie where during the because the French are going to defeat Fort William Henry, which Colonel Monroe was at. They surround it, and their 16-pounder guns are pounding the hell out of this fort, and no rescue's going to come there. So General Montcalm, the French general, who's a gentleman as well, just offers a parley. Listen, Colonel, I'll give you safe passage through the woods. My men will not harm you. Don't worry. You can carry your weapons, carry everything, but take all your wounded and go in peace, because I don't want to have to kill you. I don't want to have to do it. So I'm giving you this chance. So they go. But we all know that Magua and his now increased army of Huron warriors aren't going to just stand by and watch. Cue the film's big massacre sequence, which in actual reality, these are based on historical events, a lot of them, and that did happen. And the Huron were picking up infant babies from the mothers and smashing their heads against trees and rocks, and they're killing, just slaying everybody in the most barbaric ways. Now the book does depict that, but it doesn't really show it in too much graphic detail. However, Fenimore Cooper's original novel does go into a lot of detail on it. Brains getting dashed out and dribbling on people's feet and all this. Oh, it's all there. Wonderful stuff. I'm going to wrap this up now because I have got lots more stuff to do. But I told you that the Leatherstocking Saga, which is what this became called, all the 5 novels of the Hawkeye Mohican saga. Well, I've only got one of the other books, one called The Pathfinder. But look at this, folks. There's The Pathfinder. This copy is from 1902. 1902. And it is illustrated. Let's try and find an illustration. Tomahawks raised, canoes. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Oh yeah, who's this? Yeah. Proper old school. It's got that musty smell about it as well. Now, again, I'll be honest, I've not actually read this version. I don't have the other versions, but I have read that a couple of times. And I'll be honest, as I reached the final third of the original novel of it, whereas the film gets more and more exciting and more driven, and you're on the edge of your seat, you're on the edge of the precipice, because they're chasing Magua and his band, and of course they've got Alice, the younger daughter. Uncas goes crazy because he loves her, and he goes after it and has a fight with Magua, but Magua slices him up, slits his throat, throws his body off the cliff, off the promontory, which you're hearing playing right now, promontory, and then Chingachgook goes fucking apeshit. You've just killed off what would be the last of my son, the last of my tribe, my people. So he goes up there and he fucking lays waste to these guys and battles the arse off Magua and kills him, butchers him, whilst our boy Hawkeye keeps picking up rifles from the fallen Hurons and firing 2 at once, taking them down. Tremendously fantastic climax. Well, in the book, you get so much toing and froing and meetings and discussions that climax is, if you're looking for that in the book, it's there, but it's nowhere near as pulse pounding and exciting as it is in the movie. Plus, in the book, there's another character. There's this weird sort of screw loose English priest, sort of a fringe priest, an alternative priest. He sings gospel, and even though he walks through massacres, and none of the Huron touch him because he think he's not the full shilling. And they think the people who are mad are special, so that you can't touch them. They can walk freely amongst their lands and their villages. So they kind of adopt him and look after him. And he's actually one of the good guys. And you can see why that character was just completely cut out, because it makes too much of a serious situation into a farcical situation. There's too much comedy, even for its time when it was written. But anyway, folks, there you go. I've got to go to work. But there's the original Pathfinder. Well, not the original, but one of the first proper mass-produced copies from 1902. Beautiful, it's all there. No pages fell out on this one, unlike my Star Trek annual I showed you. This is marvellous. And as a little sort of finishing touch, there's an extra story in this, telling of how Hawkeye, Natty Bumppo, as his real name is, came by the name Hawkeye in a test with Native Americans, and he's up against the wall and he's got to prove his worth. He's only about, 17, 18 years old, and he's got to prove his worth against these guys, and he does quite clearly. So that's a nice little extra story in there. But there you go, folks. Feathers, music. But you'll see these again. I'm going to wear them a lot. And in actual fact, a lot of the feathers they would have, to denote what you've done in battle. If you counted coup, you'd take some feathers out, so you give them notches. If you slit someone's throat, a triangle would be wedged out of it. You put little colours on it to denote what you've done in battle as well, or if you've been wounded. So like sort of hierarchy and a sort of feathered history of your campaign, your war skills, and attributes and exploits. Brilliant. So folks, let's just get on to the kiss. The film is truly astonishing. One day I will endeavour to cover it properly, but just take my word. If you haven't seen it, take my word for it. It is one of modern cinema's greatest action epics. And it doesn't flinch, doesn't pull back. There's a lot of blood, snot and chaos in this. Cheers, Steve. Cheers, Joel. And I must now go and scout along the frontier of another working day. Who knows what dangers may be lurking around the back of the laptop, but I'm ready for it, because I've got my trusty war axes. Anyway, folks, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. I'm going to see you all later. And, you know, if you're the last of your tribe, don't go bounding up mountains. Just stay where it's safe. Find a nice woman and make babies, new members of your tribe. Carry the bloodline on. Curb your warlike ways. I don't mean that for a minute. Fight to the last. I'm going to see you all later.